You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
We are TFR. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
Astronauts to the moon.
10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Not to get off track here, but I feel like we're in the Truman Show, and we're in a snow globe, and they just shook it up.
Welcome to reality.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. You are tuned into your protection from deception right here on truthfrequencyradio.com. And look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. Nope. It's the number one show on Monday nights on TFR between the hours of 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific, 9 to midnight Eastern. That show is Jeranism Monday Night Raw, and it starts now. I'm your host, Jaren from Jeranism, and joining me again, as she has been known to do, the top of the charts and the bottom heavy, Missa. Amazing. Missa, what's up, girl?
Bottom heavy.
Well, I was just observational.
We're going off observations now.
Observations now.
Well, I can't observe that, so I can't confirm that.
I know. It's going to be really tough.
I have to trust your perspective.
Huge. There you go.
Okay, thanks.
How was your week?
It was very
Quick.
Uneventful.
And
I
quick.
don't remember. Very quick.
Flew by.
What did we do this week? I feel like we did so much. That's why I was like, oh wait, so it was the week after the conference.
Yes. Last week on Monday was when I got back.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So it was a really quick week compared to the week that I was gone, huh?
It flew by.
Splendid.
It rained this week.
It did rain.
Mm-hmm.
What else did we do? We went to my dad's retirement party.
Mm-hmm.
After some 40-something years in the electrical business. He's finally hung up his electrician's boots.
Gloves?
No, usually not gloves.
Tool belt.
He always had a belt, yeah.
Okay, there you go.
And definitely had the top half of his crack was always showing.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
He was one of those ones, huh?
Well, he's got they wear those huge tool belts. And
yeah.
And it's just...
Oh, is that the reason why they... Butt crack.
Well, I don't know about the plumbers because I don't think they have a tool belt, but definitely for electricians.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I think it's the plumbers just don't do anything other than plumb, so they just kind of get large. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm not sure.
They just need to step up their pant sizes a little bit,
or belt. Use a belt,
or get a new belt. Exactly. We have a great show for you guys tonight. We will get to that soon enough, but first, let's say hello to those in the TFR chat. Thanks for joining us. To those in the Discord chat, I'm not quite there yet, but I'll be there in a second. Hope you guys are doing well. To everyone upside down in sunny Australia, where you are enjoying your summer right now, where the sun is 3 million miles closer than it is when it's up here. So watch out. You don't want to get too close there. It's 375 Earth diameters closer, to be exact, which is a lot closer.
I don't believe it.
No. You shouldn't.
Okay.
My new prerequisite for people to have a discussion is, do you believe that there is a 2,000-pound solar-operated vehicle on Mars? And if they say yes, then it's just like,
You're like, okay, well, you trust men a little too much.
Little bit too much, yeah.
And you're trusting them in that CGI a little too much.
And then the people who say, yeah, okay, I can see that could be fake, then you can kind of start leading them down. Do you realize then that there's nothing in orbit of Saturn?
Then they'll listen to you a little bit, but if they can't see it, then they won't hear it either.
No, I mean, that is the one thing that people should wake up to. And I think I mentioned it. Maybe I mentioned
That's one of the many things, but...
Yeah, I should. I'm not sure what happened with the phones here. Hopefully we're on. Can somebody in the chat just tell me that we're on? We see no phones here.
I think we're probably still on. So
okay, good.
I was gonna say,
yeah, we got to do the BRAP rule, the show must go on.
So funny, I was just about to say that.
Were you?
I was just going to say, I was going to say BRAP situation or whatever.
Oh.
And that's funny.
Hi, Brap, if you're out there listening.
Yes, hello.
I don't know if you are or not.
So basically what you're saying is before you engage into a conversation with another individual,
Mhm.
you want to know whether or not they believe that there's things that are landed on Mars, or that Mars is the actual landable place.
Isn't that the ultimate test of whether or not you trust men? Because you have no idea.
Well, that's one of, I could think of many good ones.
Sure.
Yeah.
The size of the sun. Somebody told you
Yeah.
the size of the sun is 1,000,000 times the size of the earth. So people who believe that have simply chosen to go by the popular belief.
Or they're just
consensus belief.
Or they're just still indoctrinated if they haven't thought about it. Because we
Right.
didn't choose to believe that the sun was 93 million miles away. It was told to us, so therefore we just didn't think about it.
Right,
ever.
you had no choice.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
And
we
I
had
wanted
not chosen the popular belief because that was not a choice that we were able to make.
Nope. And I wanted to bring up Ron Joseph, and I don't know how much we talked about this last time, but
Not much.
he began his career in the 70s when he published some discoveries that he was making in neuroplasty and doing stuff with the brain and stuff with the head. And then he published some significant major scientific studies in the fields of neuroscience, development, embryology, evolution, quantum physics, consciousness, genetics, astrobiology. He had a whole list of stuff. Then he got
We did cover
into
this guy quite a bit.
yeah. Then he got into Mars stuff, right? And he in February 2017, in May 2016, Dr. Joseph proved that there was a high probability of life on Mars. This is his own website I'm reading from, so just that's why it says he proved it. In December 2016, he proved that Martian bacteria and fungi had contaminated and were damaging the NASA Mars rovers. Then in February 2017, and basing his research on the fact that the Mars rovers had not been sterilized, he traced the origins of much of the fungi and bacteria growing atop the Mars rovers back to NASA, which only cleaned but never completely sterilized the rovers. And then after that, he found an actual mushroom growing on the Mars surface. And there's pictures of it. You can look online, just look up mushroom, or actually you can look up donut on Mars. It looks like a little donut. But what he did was then he sued NASA because he said, you guys didn't go take close-up pictures of this mushroom. There's clearly a mushroom growing on Mars. So I did try emailing him and just telling him, let me tell you a little secret here. Let me tell you why they won't look into that mushroom. It's because it's growing on Earth. And he hasn't got back to me yet. So obviously he wasn't real happy with my email.
It's because the rover has been roving around on Earth.
Yep.
Somewhere either in Antarctica or in the Atacama Desert or in the Namibia Desert in Africa.
Devon Island.
Pick one.
Anyone.
The Earth is so big, you could pick a little 5-mile.
Heaven forbid you
5
do that
square
outside
mile
of your
area.
office in Daly City or something, where you just put it right outside and say, here, we've simulated Mars environment. No, let's send groups of Humvees and tents and all kinds of temporary shacks up to Devon Island, because that's how we want our money spent.
Well, they get $50 million a day. So what do they spend it on? On fooling the world. That's what they spend it
52
on.
million.
Because that's all they can
Unbelievable.
do. They've never been not fooling the world, so that's all they've been doing.
They've been
forever.
fooling the world since 1958.
That's what they do. They
Yep.
can't do anything else.
I'm going to try and call Eddie right now.
Okay.
And maybe we'll see if we get him or not.
Sweet.
I don't know.
I'm excited. It's going to be really cool. I think it'll be a really nice, refreshing conversation.
Me too. Let's see if we can get him on. I'm not positive.
We are trying, though.
Hopefully I have the right number.
Hello?
Hey, Eddie, what's up?
Hello? Hey, Eddie, what's up? Jeranism?
What's up, man? How are you?
What's up, man? I'm good. How you doing?
Good. I think you might have the show on the background, maybe. Or else I'm echoing.
Yeah, I have you on speakerphone because I'm driving.
Oh, okay.
Is that bad?
Be careful, please.
Yeah, be careful. We don't want you crashing. How you doing, my friend?
Okay. I'm doing great. How you doing?
Good. Welcome to the show. Everybody's excited to have you aboard. So, no, we're doing great. Just got done with the International Flat Earth Conference. That was a interesting little trip for me. But no, it was good times. Good times. Met a lot of good people. That was one of the best things, though. There's a lot of good people that believe this, and a lot of people that see what we see, or see what I see at least. And so it's just awesome to talk to you. I've watched you with Joe for years, and just really awesome that you hold your own in there. It's something a lot of people wouldn't be able to do, and you stay tough, you stay true to yourself, and that was what really impresses me.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's tough in that room. That's not my show. I can't
Right.
just shut it down. Like on my show, when I had a podcast going there for a little bit, I could just, the best thing about that podcast, I could just shut everybody up. I just shut everybody up and then finish what I have to say.
Yeah.
Damn, let me finish. When I'm on someone else's show, it's hard to finish, sometimes.
Right.
It's hard to, and plus I digress a lot and forget my points anyway.
I know we all do that. And I was watching you the other day when you were talking about North Korea, which I have the same belief about North Korea, that I do think it's just an act, and that, Russia and the United States and these guys just put him there to be the rogue, scary guy who might launch a nuclear weapon at any point. But I just kept hearing Joe keep telling you, like, Eddie, listen to me, Eddie, listen to me. He's just trying to trying to get you back.
Nope.
Like, no, Eddie's.
But if you look at the timeline in North Korea, and if you look at the mainstream information, the timeline is during World War II, Japan occupied Korea. They ran it.
Right.
After they lost the war, this is all mainstream information. After they lost the war, I guess it was 1945 or so, the Soviets took North Korea and the United States took South Korea. They split it. So then the Russians put in the first ruler, who was Asian looking, but one of those Asians was raised in Russia. One of those guys. This is mainstream information. It's perfect. I would have done the same thing. You throwing one of them Asian Russians in there to rule shit. And they decided, it seemed like North Korea to Russia was just an experiment. Like let's see how far we can take total mind control.
Right.
That's what it seemed like. Why wouldn't they go that way? Why would they all of a sudden got this new country that they're in charge of? Why would they want them to be the other way, moving towards freedom and liberty? Of course not. It would be, there's only two ways to go.
Yeah.
So, and then after the Korean War, this is mainstream information. The Soviets went back, they retreated and abandoned North Korea, and then they just throw this in, like a little side note. Yeah, and then China took over and is kind of watching it. And then that's it. Wait a minute. Did you just say China took over? Did you just say the Soviets left after the? And then more mainstream information is this one documentary about this journalist, this Asian chick who went undercover as a eye doctor assistant, because in North Korea they let in this Chinese eye doctor to
I've seen that.
cure people from or something like that. And she snuck in and she was a journalist, and at the top of that documentary, the premise was, we're going to get to see the inside of, what's going on in North Korea. And at the very top of that documentary, they say and then during the North Korean War, the United States made 18 North Korean cities disappear. That 18 cities, you made 8, and right when I heard that, I'm like, no wonder they're so mad at everybody. They made 8. Imagine if we went to war with Iran and they made 18 U.S. cities disappear. Imagine how much hate we would have. You would be lynched on the street, and you wouldn't go, and the person that did it wouldn't go to jail if that happened. If you said anything positive about Iran.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you said anything positive, you made 18 cities disappear.
Yeah,
nobody would be allowed to say anything positive about Iran. They would throw you in jail and kill you.
Tar and feather.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's ridiculous. So
they made 18 cities disappear, and then the Soviets retreat.
Right.
And China's now in charge? Really? China's now in charge? And it just seems like that's just it seems like they got probably 100,000 people or so, and it's just like a prison. You know what I mean? And they make them act. It's a prison for actors. And I don't know. That's my guess. It just doesn't seem right. I bet Kim Jong-un has never even been to North Korea. I bet that dude is probably still in Switzerland, where he went to school, where he was raised.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't surprise me either. I mean, when I watched that parade, we were watching it. I mean, there's so much about that looks like it's just old footage, or it's repeated footage, or it's CGI. They're getting too good with the CGI shit.
Yeah, it's like they're copy and pasting soldiers.
Yeah.
Like all the long shots, it's like people are breaking the video down. They're going, holy shit, they're copy and pasting
Yep.
Soldiers to make it look like there's a whole shitload. There might be 5,000 of them, and they just use them. They just use them anytime they need a film, anything, for propaganda.
Scarce, yeah.
Absolutely.
Did you look at it?
Yeah.
Did you look at that guy Otto Warmbier that died? Did you hear about him?
I don't know.
Oh, he's that guy, the kid that was he was over there vacationing and he stole some poster off the wall and then he was sent home. You got to look it up because it's a crazy story, and again, it kind of plays into the whole idea of
North Korea being this evil situation.
Right. It's just kind of funny. It just seems like it goes right along with the narrative.
And there have been documentaries about North Korea. A couple of them, like dudes that take a tour. They somehow get in and they videotape, and it's always weird. And everybody knows this. They go, yeah, if you go to North Korea, it's like they're putting on a show for you. Like everywhere you go, they're watching you. All these buildings are empty. There's like empty cities.
It is a show.
Everybody knows this. Everybody knows this, but they think, oh, it's empty, and they're acting for us and putting on a show and pretty much giving us a tour, a guided tour. They're thinking it's because they're so militarized,
right?
And so brainwashed. But I look at it as, they're actors. They're just acting. They're putting on a show. There are empty cities. I bet most of those cities are empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were
They're
talking.
not real. It's like Universal Studios. You're going to take a tour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like you're going by the jaw.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we were talking before you came on about the joke that it is that we're supposed to be afraid of a nuclear weapon or a missile that would take an hour to get here.
Yeah,
like we wouldn't just shoot it down and then destroy the whole country. I mean, it just makes no sense that, especially in the world of satellites that are supposed to be up there, then they wouldn't even let them shoot a practice round. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, no.
It's all.
Well, you brought up two things right there: nuclear bombs and satellites, both of which I don't believe exist.
Me neither. Nope.
There's no evidence for them, so.
No, I mean, I think when you talk satellites, there's things up on balloons, but there's nothing orbiting the Earth. I don't think so.
Yeah, nothing floating. There's nothing floating out there.
No.
Nothing floating. And the space station, it's been up there 16 years, floating at 17,000 miles an hour for 16 years, and no one's ever died. And they no footage of any ship docking. There's space shuttle footage, but it's terrible. But nothing.
It's so bad.
Have you seen that space shuttle docking with ISS?
Oh man, that stuff is so bad. We watch it. My wife and I think it's like a comedy now. I mean, it is so bad. And the fact that people just eat it up. They think it's real just because they don't want to. Yeah, it has to be real. They don't want to even think about it not being. And then, what is that? You said 17,500 miles per hour on the ISS. That's 90 football fields in a second. Can you imagine? And they send that 60-year-old lady up there. Yeah. We saw F-22 Raptor flying above our heads recently, and they say those had to be grounded because the pilots were getting lightheaded and getting, basically knocked unconscious from this plane that barely goes 1,500 miles per hour, yet this old lady who's 60 is going up in a rocket going 17,500 miles per hour, no problems at all, just right up into the space station. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but it's a different kind of 17,000 miles an hour, though. It's always a different kind of 17,000. It's not, and like we're supposed to be, going around the sun at like 60,000 miles an hour.
Yep.
But it's not a regular 60,000 miles an hour. It's a different kind. It's because the atoms in space in a vacuum, they don't ionize and and then they don't. That's why you don't feel it's 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit in the thermosphere where the International Space Station is floating around at 17,000 miles an hour. But it's not the regular kind of 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. This kind of 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit, it doesn't get that hot. You don't feel it. You can wear polo shirts because of the ionization of the atoms, and it doesn't transfer heat or whatever the fuck they're trying to tell people.
Yeah, the meteorites, the micrometeoroids too. Those are something. They must be way different than something else going 40,000 miles per hour. Because pretty sure anything would just go right through you. But but I respect you a lot for when you talk to Joe. Well, here's one thing you can tell him. That I've kind of realized that if you're going to believe in the heliocentric model that we're spinning 1,000 miles per hour, we're going 66,000 miles per hour around the sun, then the real truth is you would believe any number they gave you.
Right.
If they came back tomorrow and said, actually, guys, we made a mistake. It's actually you're going 32 billion miles per hour. You wouldn't have you couldn't say like, no, now I don't think so. Because it's like, no, nothing changes
Yeah.
on Earth, because on Earth we don't feel any of it.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't make a difference in your life whether you're going 32 billion miles per hour, 66,000 miles per hour, 13. So that's when I realized that these guys just came up with mathematical numbers that worked, and they sold it to the populace.
Well, they didn't sell it. They
forced it
to you.
Indoctrination. But I know that you saw The Principle, and that was a big awakening for you, huh? The movie The Principle.
Yeah, but because The Principle wasn't even about flat Earth. It had nothing to do with flat Earth. It was just about Earth being the center of the universe based on their data, based on the pinnacle of science, the pinnacle of cosmology, the pinnacle of all that information that someone's putting together, someone's staring at the stars. There's like, I mean, how many scientists are out there like staring at the stars, figuring out, they're finding other planets. This is their information. Their information tells us that everything is spinning around us.
Right. And they
we are the center. That's what they said. That's what they said.
That's what, that totally upturns science.
And I mean, they even got Michio Kaku saying in there that, if we're off by 10 to the second power or third power, that's considered terrible in science. But in cosmology, we're off by 10 to the 120. And that's the worst mismatch in science. So, I mean, people that believe in this and trust in it, you've even got your own physicists telling you that they're so far off base that they're just making shit up. Dark matter here, dark energy, any excuse they can make to come up with something. And they're just way out there in left field.
Now, I have a question for you, Eddie, if you don't mind. What was the one thing or the first thing that opened your mind to a deception in terms of whether it be the government or NASA or whatever? What was the first thing that got you out of your asleep state, I guess you could say?
When I was 11, when I found out that everybody wasn't Catholic, when I found out that there was a bunch of other religions, then I thought I became an instant atheist at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a lot longer, but
cool.
Same thing is that once you realize that, we're like, holy shit, man.
And we could have stayed with science if we wanted to, if we didn't go into it with the idea of we're not going to trust men, we're going to...
I would say I was an atheist for about 6 months, and that's when I saw, wait a second, this is just another religion. These people don't know anything. All these little trolls were going around just yelling the word science. Science, science, science. And it was like, that's not, where's the evidence? Where's the proof? And then it was like, oh man, I think the safest road is right in the middle. I will be the one that decides what things have enough evidence for me to call it true and what things don't have enough. And I have no problem now calling things fake when I see it. If it's fake, Elon Musk wants to land rockets backwards and upside down. I'm going to call it fake. It looks fake to me. I tell people you can drop a car off the top of the Empire State Building that weighs like 1/50th of what that rocket weighs, and try and shoot an engine out that's going to stop that car on its way down to the ground. Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. It's brilliant. If maybe that was the plan all along, and maybe that's if they're trying to hide God from us and trying to hide the Creator from us, it seems like an excellent plan to go along with the God, but just make it seem
ridiculous.
The people, are turned away and turned off by it, and go to science and think that's the truth. Meanwhile, you got your science all waiting for them. You got your doctored up science waiting for them, and they just come right to you because you give them that religion. You give it to them, and then they get turned off by it because the Jack and Jill stories in the Bible. Come on, there's a lot of crazy, like Noah's Ark and all that stuff. Of course, that's what gets people running to science, and there they are waiting with their science that no one can verify, no one can prove for themselves.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I went to a Jesuit high school, and I was always kind of confused because they taught real hard. They pushed the science, and real hard they pushed the religion. It actually moved me away from schooling and said, like, what is this? What's going on here? Now I look back and I'm like, well, yeah, that's it. They want you in either belief system. They don't care which one it is. You can believe in their God or you can believe in their science, but you're going to be in a belief system because that's the way you control people when they believe what you tell them to believe.
The false dichotomy,
Yeah, and you know what? Religion is vital if you want to go conquer another country, because you can't you're not going to kill someone and just murder people unless God's involved.
Right.
You know, unless you're fighting for Jesus.
Yeah.
You gotta create the religion, not what the real God is like. Who knows what the real God is like? But the God that they created in the Bible, I mean, it worked. Look at the Spanish. They came over to South America and Central America, and they killed everybody that wouldn't convert to Jesus.
Yep. You had no choice.
So that's the only way you could do that. So they knew that. I mean, that must be old in empire, building an empire 101. That must be like right there, top 5 things you got to get your people into a religion.
Page
Pick
2.
any religion. Yeah.
Doesn't
back
matter.
then they're all choosing religions. Rome's always changing from this religion to that religion. They're pagan, 1 year, then they're Christian, and they're all over the place. Then they're at one point they thought, hey, it doesn't matter if what God they believe in, as long as they believe in God. So that they tried anybody could believe whatever God they want, like everyone was believing in their own God. And then they realized, shit, that's not working that good. We got to decide on one God. And then let's get together, decide on one God. We decide what stories we're going to use, and then that's the only way you're going to get people to kill. In a large way. Take over other countries. You need religion. You need God.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that even people like I think Joe Rogan is turned off of a lot of that stuff because I think he was religious or is jaded. So many people have had that terrible religious experience of being told anything coming from outside this book is of Satan and you're going to burn in hell when you have this terrible feeling inside you about religion. It's put there though. It's not, there's nothing about the God, the creator of this world that should make anybody fear anything. Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah. It's almost like, like the Flat Earth Society. It's almost like that. I don't think people talk. I don't think flat earthers bring that up enough. I mean, if we could prove that the Flat Earth Society is a total shill organization and no real flat earthers ever take that seriously, if we could prove that, that proves that they're trying to hide it from us.
Yeah. Well, I think
they're
just
trying to hide the truth.
Just going to the site and reading through the feeds and that's even.
Yeah, it's terrible. There's people there that have been there they have 5,000 posts, 7,000 posts that if you go there and say anything about the flat earth, they just squash you. It's a total controlled forum.
But you're right. If you could make that obvious to people, so then when they get there, naturally they're going to get there.
So they don't think we're accelerating upward at, you
got it. You know what? Do a little, that might be a cool little video for you to do, jeranism, like really look into the Flat Earth Society and how explained. And then the crazy thing is anytime someone famous, like Obama, he's brought it up several times, when he brings up the Flat Earth Society, he's pointing people in that direction. So when people go, what is the Flat Earth Society? He's sending them there. If he sends you there, he's got you. They're going to turn you off to it, and you'll never go back.
Right.
So it's so obvious that they're bringing it up. Everyone's bringing up the Flat Earth Society. Who else brought it up? Off the top of your head, there was a couple other people.
Oh, every time, every news organization seems to put them because they're the first thing that shows up in Google. Yeah. Now I think that has something to do with the amount of time that the website's been open, because it's definitely longer than any of our websites or whatever. But I think it's also, Google can fix whatever they want. So
there needs to be a documentary about the Flat Earth Society. Like, get really into that, because people just kind of bring it up every now and then. They'll bring it up for like 30 seconds, but I want to know the history of the Flat Earth Society, that movement. Like the people who when was it first founded?
Yeah.
Who founded it?
Good
what
call.
happened?
A good video.
An expose.
And the head of it, the guy who's the president of is he believes in evolution. He's an evolutionist. I mean, if that's not enough to make you go, all right, this guy's out.
But it does need a detailed combing.
I think it's a good idea. Definitely. Yep. Do you feel like have you moved Joe at all, or is it about flat Earth or anything, or is he just too staunch in his positions now? And we all saw him change when he went from the moon skeptic to whatever you say, Neil. But
he had that great show called Question Everything, and I felt like he was like totally open-minded to everything. Any sort of situation, he was going to attack it individually, and then just kind of disappeared in that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Do you think you're getting him any closer, or is it something he doesn't like to talk about, or?
Yeah, he doesn't like to talk about it, and I don't like to talk to him about it either. You know what I mean? It's I don't really know. I don't even know what to say. Really, it's just
that's tough spot. I know.
I really can't comment too much on that.
Gotcha. Yep. I was going to ask if does Jamie actually sit in his lap during the show, or I'm just kidding.
You just can't see him.
No, these guys are funny. I just
Why do you say that? What? I don't get that one.
Oh, I just noticed that it's like he's just always right there to be
to back up
bring up the website, to just show whatever.
Bring up Wikipedia articles. And
stuff. And he's just off base a lot. I mean, he came out against you in a couple of those things where you were talking about the experiments, Michelson Morley, and
he was wrong, and
he was just yelling and screaming like he was definitely right, and he was completely wrong.
Yeah.
And that just
what in the flat Earth movement, there's so many levels and there's so much information.
There's so much.
There's the moon side, and there's the curvature side. There's so goddamn many levels. It's hard to remember everything. I remember the Michelson-Morley experiment. I remember that whatever happened in it proved that we weren't spinning.
Right.
But I didn't remember the details of the experiment. I'm not a scientist.
Right.
People know that. I don't even read books.
Yeah. Here's the thing too about that.
But I knew that it proved either they were trying to prove that the Earth was spinning and they couldn't prove it, so that proves that we're still, or the other way around, they were trying to prove that it wasn't spinning, and they proved. Either way, all I knew is that experiment proved that we're not spinning. So they, but I didn't know the details, and they made me look silly, but I was still right.
Well, yeah, I think that they actually looked so. I mean, if anybody has done the research, then they realize, because they were just yelling, "No, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong." And it's like, don't. I just get so frustrated when I hear that, because it should be more about a discussion. And if both groups ever feel like they don't know the actual facts, then
let's go look up.
Let's look it up. Let's talk about it. Let's look into it. And it becomes too much of a. And this is something I get all the time when I go up against Globers, is they don't understand even their own model. And they'll sit there and yell at me and call me a moron.
Find yourself explaining their model first.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, I mean, it's like the time we had the talk with Zach, and he was yelling about the North Star is the farthest star, and I was like, no, it's not. It's not even close. He's like, yeah, it's the furthest star. That's why it stays in the put and everything goes around. I'm like, no, that's not right, dude. Stop. And he's like yelling at me, like, dude, I know, I'm well educated. I'm like, you don't know. You're wrong. But it's tough, so I feel for you when I see with those guys, especially with like Callan, who thinks the world runs exactly as CNN dictates. So I mean, it's just tough. You do a good job.
I think that something that's important to remember is, like, when you're talking to someone who doesn't see where you're coming from, I think it's something good to do is just tell your story. Describe how you came to these conclusions. It's not all about, it's actually not about really at all remembering the facts or remembering all the different proofs. It's like what caused you to wake up to it, because that would be the only way that I think, like, I guess you could say testimonies are really powerful.
I did do that. I did.
And the way that you always say too that you're going to trust these guys, 6 moon landing. I mean, I was saying at the beginning of the show tonight that my new line is like, if somebody believes that there's a 20 or 2,000 pound solar operated car on Mars, then I'm not going to talk to them further than that. They just believe what they're told. There's no research there done or the ideas behind it.
Right.
So when you say that about the moon landings, it's so true, because it's not like they lied and then came out in the 80s and said we lied about it, and then now we're saying like, well, they lied back then, and people be like, dude, forgive them. They came out in the 80s and said, no, they're lying to your face today.
Yeah.
They still. Oh, we got a break. We'll be right back. Wait for 2 minutes. We'll be back with Eddie Bravo. Don't go anywhere.
You must unite what has been set asunder.
We are TFR, Truth Frequency Radio.
Welcome back. You're listening to Jeranism Monday Night Raw. My wife and I are sitting here watching a moth in the space station. It's hilarious. Somebody found.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
Yeah. Anything.
Did you guys get into flat Earth before you were married or after?
After
you were married. Okay. How long were you guys married who became a flat earther first?
Yeah, she actually said it to me. She actually said, we kind of erased everything and just said we're going to start proving things for ourselves. And she asked me if I thought the Earth could be flat, and I told her, no, stupid. How would planes go around it? And you've gone east and I've gone west, and we know that the Earth is round. There's some things that are fundamentally true. And
So they're not going to erase everything.
Yeah. So I didn't mean everything. I didn't mean start all over. So I sent her on her way. And it happened to be, maybe 2 weeks after that I was looking at moon landing stuff and came across Dubé's site, Atlantean Conspiracy, and saw for the first time in my life that azimuthal equidistant map. And talk about a light bulb in your head. I just realized how stupid I felt for telling my wife she was stupid. And just looking at that map, I said, oh my goodness, planes can go around.
It was another perspective.
Yeah, it was like, so then right away I was like, I'm going to debunk this because I'm going to go look at north-south circumnavigation since they're impossible on this map. And I went looking, and you've got a Freemason, cousin of the Queen, guy who's been in court for faking injuries during expeditions. That's the only person that's done it. And I said, hold on a second. Billions of people have circumnavigated east-west, and one or two is circumnavigated north-south. That's when I just said, you know what, there's something to do here. And then from there on, every bit of research that I do seems to turn up over and over and over again, pointing right to a deception on a huge level. I still can't say whether or not there's more land, or is it just an ice, Antarctic ice wall, not an ice wall, but an ice shore. But I don't know if there's more land or what. I just know that there's definitely lies going on all over.
Something's being hidden from us. I just don't know what.
So Eddie, when you after religion, you had that realization. When did you, or what was it that made you start to think that perhaps science or cosmology or astrophysics, that something like that was wrong?
Man, it wasn't a long time after that. First, first it was religion. Then when I was 15, I was into like Slayer, and the German thrash scene back in '85 was a band called Creator, a band called Sodom, Destruction, and they were all super satanic. All their songs were super satanic, and I was really into it. I wasn't satanic, and I knew they weren't either. I was just, we're just having fun, because I was an atheist.
Right.
So I thought, if there's no God, there's no saint, so we're just having fun. It's like, someone who's into writing movies like The Exorcist.
Right.
It's like nobody thinks the dude who wrote The Exorcist is satanic, right?
Right.
But nonetheless, I was 15, right in the balls deep in the Slayer, and 2020 comes out with a special report. And it was back then when everybody watched TV. Everybody watched the same programs. We were all watching the same shit.
Yep.
Thursday night, 8 o'clock, 8:30. Cheers. All the same shit. and 2020 comes on, and they do a special report on Satanism in music and how to tell if your kid is Satanist. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, this is going to be great. And I thought they were going to pull out Hell Awaits by Slayer or Show No Mercy. But no, they were pulling out like Twisted Sister records and Motley Crue records. And I thought, wow, they are. I go, this is ABC 2020. They were pulling out Judas Priest. And they think this is satanic. They have no clue. They're picking the wrong albums. But anyways, so I knew that I couldn't trust the news after that. And all sitcoms. I didn't see any sitcoms that represented like the neighborhood I grew up in. So I knew like everything you saw and see. I knew sitcoms were shit. I hated the fact that they were so formula. There was going to be a problem. That problem arises around 7:40, and then at 7:50 it climaxes, and then everything's going to resolve at 7:55, and then 8 o'clock, Different Stroke starts.
And then Danny talks to Michelle Tanner, and they hug at the end.
With an occasional to be continued episode. With occasional to be continued.
Yeah.
But every conflict is handled. Everybody makes up in the end. Nobody's ever upset. Nobody ever gets hurt.
Yes. So I knew my favorite show. I hated that as a kid. I hated that. My favorite show as a kid was The Twilight. Always have a happy ending, and a lot of times it wasn't a happy ending. It's a horrible ending, and I like not knowing. I was really into that. So anyway, and then after that, my next. And I was in speed metal bands myself. And after I got bored with Satanism, I started writing about the collapse of the world and nuclear war and rebellious stuff, you know. And I was in a band called Resistance, and we were basically conspiracy theorists, but we had really no knowledge. There was no internet. We knew the government was lying to us. We knew that we were being brainwashed, and that's what, you know. So I was already grooming myself for where I'm at now. And then one of the first things that rocked me was I got into jiu-jitsu, and one of my teammates was really into nutrition and vitamins, and he got me into how, you know, the pharmaceutical industry is basically killing us.
Right.
And I got really into vitamins and minerals and all that kind of stuff, and and food. I was like 24 at this point, 25. So I knew we couldn't trust big pharma by 25. And then at 28, I believed I wasn't a stoner at all my whole life. But then I believed all the reefer madness propaganda. I believed that it gave you lung cancer and it killed your brain cells. I believed that. But at 28, I smoked weed, and I smoked like once a year throughout my life, and I always had a terrible experience. Always got paranoid and anxiety. So I hated it. And I thought that paranoia and the anxiety was the weed killing my brain and melting it. You know, I really thought it was super damaging just based on the trips that I went through. But
Right.
At 28, I fell in love with this stripper joint, and we smoked weed, and we laughed like men. And it freaked me out how it was the first time I smoked weed, and it was the best experience ever. And then I tried it again the next day, and I thought, okay, I get it. Weed doesn't make you feel good or bad. It just amplifies whatever you're feeling.
Right.
So that's what bad trips are about. Bad trips aren't about the weed, because you could smoke a joint with 5 guys and 4 guys are having the time of their life, and then you freak out and get all paranoid. It's not the weed, it's you.
Yeah.
Right. It's actually
and then
cigarettes and cancer. There's no cancer in the cigarette. That's not what's giving you cancer. It's actually your mental state. You can give it to yourself. You know, I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah. So then I became a stoner, and then I got into, but even as the first 6 months I was smoking weed, I thought I was killing myself. I thought I was a drug addict, and I thought because it just made me super creative. It just changed my life, and I thought, man, I gotta quit, but it's doing so much positive things for me, but I know it's killing me. I gotta quit. Then I read the book The Emperor Wears No Clothes by Jack Herrera, and I realized, oh shit, there's a weed conspiracy. And then, you know, I got really into that. And then from that point on, man, once I found out that I'd been brainwashed, I was 28. You know, my 28 years of my life, I was totally brainwashed about weed. And then that was it. From that point on, I just became super conspiracy head. I would buy any VHS tape that had anything to do with a conspiracy theory. I even put together a best of conspiracy. I got an 8-hour VHS tape and put about 7 of the best documentaries in there, like a good UFO one.
Nice.
I bought all that. I bought all that UFO shit. I was really into the UFO stuff. They got me good with that. They're great at creating conspiracies. They create them.
Oh yeah.
It's wonderful. Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
It was called Brain Dirt, put together, and I made a bunch of copies of it. An 8-hour VHS tape, about 6-7 documentaries. I called it Brain Dirt. Meanwhile, I was still being brainwashed with the UFO stuff.
Right. You know what's funny is I did this poll one time on Twitter, and it was just asking people which of these is true about you. Either you smoked weed and you believe that we went to the moon, you smoke weed and you don't believe we went to the moon, or you've never smoked weed and you think we went, or you never smoked weed and you don't think we did. And at the end of the results, there was nobody that had smoked weed that thought that we did go, and nobody that didn't smoke that thought that we didn't go. I thought that was crazy. I'm wondering how far that could go with like a real. It seems like that, you know, marijuana allows you not to be fully indoctrinated.
It opens your mind, I think.
Yeah, I think so. There's
Wow,
definitely
so all the non-stoners believed we went to the moon.
yeah.
It was so crazy.
It was like 42% against 46%, and then the other ones were like 5% and 4%. Like it was just crazy. It shouldn't have been that cited.
Oh, so there were some?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like 0, but there was like,
Oh, I thought you said it was 0.
Oh, it was like 400 people that did the poll. So
Don't
I mean,
give me disinfo.
you're looking in for the exact numbers. Oh,
I'll
sorry.
go and promote what you say, and I'll be wrong.
All right. Get a room.
Sorry.
So yeah, I think that'd be interesting to find out one time, because it seems like, but I know Joe Rogan throws a wrench in that because he smokes, and obviously, I guess he thinks. Well, would you say he thinks we went to the moon? I guess I don't know now. Who knows?
Who knows what he thinks?
Who knows what he thinks? I'm not me.
Yeah.
So
Well, I was watching
I don't know.
one of his comedy, one of his stand-up comedies, and he did say everything I say is. I don't believe anything I say. Everything is opposite. It's like, oh, well, maybe that's what's happening.
I love the bit he does about the rockets when he's talking about they go hide behind the wall, and that they're really just taking their big phallic symbol and depositing.
I love that.
It's so true. It's like exactly what they're doing. So funny. So then after that whole thing, then it was just easy to see the flat Earth, or what was it that was it an Eric Dubay video that first opened your eyes to that?
No, what happened was I was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he was trying to explain how dumb a person was or people are. And he said, dude, put it this way. There's still people that believe the earth is flat. And I just sat there and I thought, wow, like, what are they, Amish or what? Like, there's no way is there people out there. I mean, you could, on my iPhone, there's a picture of the earth and it's round. What do you, so then, and then a few months pass again, and I do another podcast with Joe, and he brings it up again. And I said something like, wow, that sounds like a CIA psyop or something. Sounds like Scientology, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it sounds weird. And I'm like, I can't believe they're pulling that off.
Yeah.
And then I was in class. I teach jiu-jitsu for a living.
Right.
I'm in class, and I'm always talking about conspiracy theories in class. And then one of my friends, he's super conspiracy theory guy, he leans over to me and says, you ever look into flat Earth? And I looked at him with disgust. I'm like, man, I looked at him like I lost a soldier. Like, now I can't believe anything he said. 'Cause he'd always give me some nice bits of information, like new conspiracy information. And I was disappointed. His name's Manny. And then
way to go, Manny.
I basically said, please don't bring that shit up to me again, please. And then
I respect you.
And then some more time passes, and I'm in class again, and one of my students, Ernest, he leans over and he goes, you ever look into flat Earth? I'm like, God damn.
Offering him a drug.
Like,
you ever tried this stuff?
I was deep into like the latest 9/11 information, and then he chimes in with that. So, I kind of got like angry, and he said, hey, I got a master's in engineering. Trust me, look into it. And I'm like, oh my God. I go, do you have an iPhone? Well, look at your iPhone. I had a picture of the Earth every day. I turn on my phone. There's a picture of the Earth, and guess what? It's a fucking ball, dude. I explain the sun. How does the sun? What's underneath? How does the sun? Come on, man. And he didn't. And then we argued a little bit, and then I went home to debunk him that night. And it was really simple. I was just going to find the picture from my iPhone, because at that point I didn't have it anymore. I put my baby boy as my default setting,
right,
my screensaver. And so I go home, and at that point I knew the Earth or the moon landings were faked. I already knew you can't trust NASA.
Right.
For some reason I just thought NASA was just, they're in charge of the moon and Mars and the space shuttle. Like, that's what they do. I didn't think they had anything to do with, controlling all the information, all the cosmology information that we're getting. I didn't know, but I already didn't trust them. But as soon as I started looking at pictures, and they were all from like NASA website, NASA.gov, I thought, oh my God, look at these motherfucking pictures.
Right.
Right there, I'm like, NASA is in charge of the space information that we're getting? Oh, no, we got problems here. So right away, right away I started just looking at different videos, and then I think one of the first videos was Eric Dubé's 200 Proofs. I think that was one of the first ones. After I tried to Google pictures of Earth from space.
Right.
And then I realized, holy shit.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
We had
as soon
gone,
as I figured out NASA was giving us space information, that's when I realized something's really wrong here.
right. We had gone straight to the ISS when we kind of both came to the realization, and it really kind of started with the map too, the way that they've they've changed the map where the equator is like way lower and everything in the north is big. I remember seeing that first. Yeah, and I was like all pissed at that. Like, why did they change the map? Why are they lying to us? And then we went and we said, okay, well, let's go look at there's a craft that's in orbit of the Earth. Let's go look at it. And I remember turning on that ISS footage and being like, oh my God, this will be so easy, babe. I'll make video. I'll tell everybody this is so fake. It's so obvious. I really thought when I first started this that it was going to be simple, that we just needed to point to people that, hey, this is fake. And everybody would look at it and say, you're damn right, that's fake.
Yeah.
And, obviously I got a rude awakening that, there's a good percentage
there's a deep
of people.
indoctrination you're fighting against.
Yeah, there's a good percentage of people that do look at that and say, you're absolutely right, that is fake. I never looked at that before. But there's a lot of people that will stare at that all day and say, no, that's real. That's where I live, which is scary to me.
Yeah, I've been into watching MK Ultra stuff. I'm like right now I'm in an MK Ultra phase, and man, apparently according to the information that I'm getting, it could be wrong or right, but it sounds about right to me that about 20% of the population is hypnotizable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew there had to be a number because I've talked about this several times with friends. I thought, when you go to a hypnotist show, like before the show starts, the hypnotist will, test a few people in the audience, and they'll take good subjects, and then they'll reject ones like guys that can't be hypnotized.
Right.
So we know that happens, and that in itself is a trick because they're saying before the show they find the people that are easily hypnotizable. And I'm like, yeah, that's a trick, but damn, don't you see what's going on?
Right, people are being hypnotized.
Yes, people are still, they got to trick you to find out the people. So there's a percentage of people, there's a number out there of people that are hypnotizable. And then whatever that number was, I knew that it's a good enough number, a big enough number that those people can easily be influenced by, like TV and symbols and stuff. When all the symbols, when you look at, what do they call it when you go to, when you used to go to the movies, a conspiracy theory would be that they would flash popcorn really quick and you couldn't pick it up with the naked eye, but
subliminal
subconscious
messages.
Yes, subliminal images. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like the people that are hypnotizable, I bet I'm willing to bet that if there was a study, a real legit study, that it would show that the people that are hypnotizable are the ones that can be easily influenced and hypnotized through TV using those subliminal messages easily. That just
susceptible to it. Yeah.
Yep. And
I'm
when
no
you looked
scientist,
at,
but I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, me too.
And maybe that's all they need. Maybe that's all they need is whatever percentage it is, whether it's 20, maybe it's not 20. Maybe it's really 60 or 40 or 50, and that's all they need. They don't need to get everybody. They know they can't get everybody, but if they get they get enough people, then they're going to remain in power because they have complete control of them because they have complete control of the media, and entertainment and all that, So.
And they mold the young minds from kindergarten, so that's how they get people to, I think, mostly be hypnotizable is because they've got them when they're 5
brains
years old.
still developing.
Yeah, they know that. Yeah, they know that. They know. The Nazis knew. There's nothing new. It's something else in building empires 101. It's very easy. If I was building an empire and I was an evil psychopath, for sure, right away, I would get children. I would kidnap them, whatever, go to orphan, just get as many children and just start breaking their minds.
Right.
You start getting them into Satanism. If I was a psychopath, and you know what I mean, that's what I would do. I'm not a psychopath, so I'm not into that stuff. But that's what they're doing. They're breaking their brains, and what they're scientifically causing multiple personalities. That is the goal, is to break them, and they know how to do it.
Absolutely.
And they do it with tremendous trauma. And the Nazis, they would, according to these documentaries that I'm seeing,
No, which is true. I mean, come out.
Some kids, like they'll take kids that survived a super traumatic experience as children, and that had nothing to do with MK Ultra or any kind of mind control, but they just were involved in some kind of trauma. Those are great candidates because they're already cracking. They're literally trying to split their brains there, and you only could do that by scaring the shit out of them. Major trauma where most people will die, and the ones that survive, those are the ones that the brains are split, and then at that point they're very easily controllable, and they turn them into whatever talent they have. That's what I would do if I was a psychopath. Whatever, if they're good singers, okay, we got it, because you definitely got to, entertainment, music especially, and movies. Oh my God, movies and music, that is so powerful. They know that's science to them.
Right.
Movies and music is science to the psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not just a song. It's not just a song. That song is breaking the family up. The songs. Now, I mean, I grew up listening to heavy metal and speed metal. Now I understand that they got me with that.
Right.
They really got me. I wouldn't doubt, because those conspiracy theories about, the 60s, the Laurel Kane conspiracy. You know, where that?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, okay, so I believe that, and then there's the rap music conspiracy where the strategic, NWA gangster rap, just fucking put people in jail, just break up families,
right?
And make money off them in prison.
Yep. The prison system is a joke.
If the 60s movement, the hippie movement, was a CIA program, and rap was a CIA program, if that's correct, and I believe it is, I'm looking back at music now, and I love NWA. I love hip hop. I produce hip hop.
Right.
But I realized they did it. I wouldn't be surprised if all music genres have some kind of CIA influence. Even like hair metal, like in the 80s, the hair metal, I think they all had their purpose. They're all like hair metal. What is that going to do? That's specifically going to turn the girls into promiscuous sluts. It's going to that's what it promotes. And that breaks up the family. That's a good one. Attack the daughters. Right. Turn the daughters into sluts.
Yeah,
I was into that. I had long hair. They got me. And then look what it does to the guys. If you were into hair metal, it turns the guys into like fembots. You know what I mean? Look what they're trying to do now. They were trying to do it back then. Look at metal. Look at the way they dress, like hair metal and spandex with the hairspray and all the makeup. Look, it wouldn't doubt me. And then all of a sudden, the craziest thing happened with hair metal. Boom, the plug was pulled on it. 1991, they decided to switch to grunge. Look at grunge. That's all heroin. Everyone's killing, committing suicide. Another
the emo movement.
Way.
Yep. Hey, Eddie, did you want to hang with us for another half hour, or you got to go? Because we got about 2 minutes.
I got about 2 minutes. No, I got 4 minutes.
Can you tell people where they can find you, though, real quick? Because this way we don't miss you that part.
All right. My website is 10thplanetjj.com. If you want to learn jiu-jitsu, you can subscribe to Mastering the System. Just click techniques if you're interested in jiu-jitsu. Also, I'm on Instagram at EddieBravo10. And that's it. Awesome.
And sometimes you can find them on Joe Rogan's podcast. Always great shows.
And you have a radio show too, Eddie? You have your own?
Are you doing that still?
I did, and now I do it every now and then. Like, I don't want to be on a schedule. I'm so busy. I just want to do a show every now and then.
When you want to.
When I feel like
That's
it.
Good.
When I feel like it. Yeah. I did like 60 some episodes, and I thought, I don't want to be that guy that my hardcore followers, they're gonna be so sick of me saying the same shit over and over again. I don't want to kill my hardcore fans. You know what I mean? So I'd rather just talk sporadically.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'd love to have you back whenever you could. It was great talking to you.
You are now now tuned into the truth frequency.
Your protection from deception. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.